People, said Daniel. Whitmore had everything. Money, power, respect. But what they never said, what no one ever noticed, was how empty his eyes looked when the applause stopped. And that emptiness was where the story truly begins. Because the coldest people aren't born that way. They're created. Every morning at 6:15, Daniel woke up alone in a glass penthouse overlooking San Francisco. No family photos, no memories on the walls, just sharp lines, neutral colors, and silence. Kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. By 7:30, he was already walking through the doors of Whitmore Systems, the billion-dollar tech company that carried his last name. Employees straightened their backs when they saw him. Conversations died mid-sentence, not because he was loud, but because he never needed to be. Right outside his office sat Maya Johnson. "Good morning, Mr. Whitmore," she said every day. Her voice was calm, steady, warm in a place that felt engineered to remove warmth. Daniel almost never replied. Sometimes a nod, sometimes nothing. Not out of disrespect, out of fear, because if he allowed himself to feel anything, he knew what would follow. Maya noticed things no one else dared to notice. She noticed how Daniel avoided eye contact when conversations drifted toward race or equality. How his jaw tightened during diversity meetings. How his smile never reached his eyes. She also noticed how tired he was. How a man with everything looked like someone running from something he refused to name. One night, long after most of the building had emptied, Maya stood up from her desk and knocked on his office door. "You've been here 14 hours, she said. "Your driver has been waiting." Daniel didn't look up. "I'll leave when I'm finished." She paused. "That's what you said 3 hours ago." Silence filled the room. Then something unexpected happened. Daniel laughed, quietly, bitterly. "You don't have to stay," he said. She didn't move. "You work like someone who believes rest has to be earned," she said. "That's not discipline. That's punishment." That made him look at her, really look. And for the first time, Daniel Whitmore felt uncomfortable, not because she challenged him, but because she was right. From that moment on, the walls between them didn't fall. They cracked. Short conversations became longer ones. Coffee breaks turned into quiet rituals. Silence stopped, feeling threatening. Maya wasn't impressed by his money. She wasn't intimidated by his power. And that unsettled him more than open defiance ever could, because she treated him like a human being, not a legend. During a company retreat in Napa Valley, everything shifted. The vineyard was quiet. The fire pit glowed softly. Wine loosened. The words Daniel had trained himself to swallow. "I don't believe people really change," he said suddenly. Maya looked at him. "That sounds like something someone learned the hard way." "You don't know where I come from," he replied. She smiled gently. "No, you don't know where I come from either." That was the moment. Not love. Recognition. Weeks later, the relationship began. Careful. Daniel knew the risks. A powerful white CEO dating his black secretary would attract attention, criticism, scrutiny. But that wasn't the real reason he kept it secret. The real reason was something far darker, a truth buried so deep that even he pretended it didn't exist. Years earlier, before the money, before the fame, Daniel Whitmore was just another ambitious executive in Chicago, fighting for survival in a system that rewarded silence and punished hesitation. There was one promotion that changed everything. 2 candidates remained: Daniel Whitmore and Marcus Reed. Marcus was smarter, more experienced, respected. Daniel knew the truth, and the night before the final decision, he made a choice that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He didn't lie outright. He did something worse. He framed information, highlighted weaknesses, planted doubt where none needed to exist, just enough. The board hesitated. Daniel got the promotion. Marcus was slowly pushed out, then let go. Daniel told himself it was business, that the system was flawed, not him, that everyone did it. A year later, he saw Marcus working security at a mall, and something inside Daniel shut down permanently. He buried that moment under success, under money, under control. But guilt doesn't disappear. It waits. One evening, Maya invited Daniel to her apartment for dinner. He almost said no, but something told him running wouldn't save him anymore. They talked, laughed, shared childhood stories. Then Maya showed him an old family photo. Her father. Daniel's breath stopped because he knew that face. "What's your father's name?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "Marcus Reed, Scosa." The room went silent. The man whose life Daniel had quietly destroyed was the father of the woman he loved. Maya noticed his hands shaking. "Daniel?" she asked. "What's wrong?" He couldn't lie anymore. And so, stripped of power, stripped of status, he told her everything. The promotion, manipulation, the silence, the lie he called survival. When he finished, Maya didn't scream. She didn't cry. She broke. "My father blamed himself until the day he died," she said quietly. "He thought he wasn't good enough." Daniel had never felt smaller. "I loved you," Maya said, "and you loved me. While hiding the reason my family suffered, I was ashamed," he whispered. "Shame doesn't undo damage," she replied. "You don't get to love me without facing what you did to people who look like me." She asked him to leave. The next morning, Daniel resigned as CEO. The world was shocked. But Daniel wasn't finished. He publicly admitted his actions, funded scholarships in Marcus Reed's name, changed company policies, gave up millions. It didn't erase the past. Nothing could. Months later, Maya met him one last time, not for forgiveness, for truth. "You can't undo racism with regret," she said, "but you can stop being part of it." Daniel nodded. For the first time, his eyes weren't cold. They were awake, and that is the real lesson. Racism isn't always loud. It isn't always violent. Sometimes it's a quiet decision behind closed doors that destroys a life forever. Love doesn't cancel injustice. Success doesn't erase harm, and growth only begins when truth is faced without excuses. If this story stayed with you, remember this: the most dangerous lies aren't the ones we tell others. They're the ones we tell ourselves.